Oh hey, this is Trav. Come join me in making this coyote fur hat. So here's something I've found interesting. If I take this fur hat and put it on, all of a sudden I look more outdoorsy, even perhaps more rugged. Whereas if a woman puts a fur hat on, here's a picture of my daughter wearing it, she looks more fashionable. So it's pretty amazing that fur can enhance your looks. I just think it's pretty cool all the way around. So this is the first coyote fur hat I've ever made. I don't claim to be an expert. I used an egg tan on the hide. I used 5 farm fresh egg yolks and rubbed it really well into the hide. A good idea is also to borax the hide. This is after you've skinned it and fleshed it off the best you can. Then I soaked it in a bucket of water with some ivory soap that I ran water through my hands and created soapy water in a bucket with a couple more egg yolks. And this is how the hide has turned out. Just let it hang and dried. I had case or tube skinned it, so I opened it up and I dried off the fur with a hair dryer, and it's turned out very nice and clean. When it was wet, I picked out any licorice burrs or cockle burrs or sand burrs that were in the hide. So I may or may not put the face of the coyote on the top of the hat. I did turn these ears out with the cartilage the best I could, inside out into the egg tanning solution. But now I'm gonna take just the face off right here behind the ears, so I have all this nice hide to work with. And the best way I know to remove the hide is to cut it from the skin side, not the fur side. I don't want to use a pair of scissors because I don't want the fur to be cut off flat at the edge. So just right here behind the ears, I'm going to run my knife along here, and I'm just going to move this camera a little and just cut the face off of this coyote right here. You can hear the leather's kind of papery. There, just cut that off like that. So I've cut out the liner for my coyote fur hat. I went to the thrift store and I found a silk shirt and I found a wool scarf. Nothing makes you feel more like a man than shopping in the women's department looking for a silk blouse. But I wanted silk to be the innermost part of the liner against my head. Silk is a terrific windbreak. And then I want a layer of wool for some insulation, and so that the sweat of my head isn't directly in contact with the hide of the coyote. So I have a paper pattern. This will be the side of the hat, and I've taken it and fit it around my head, and I know that that fits with about a 1/4 inch of overlap. That'll be the seam allowance. And then the top, I just drew with a compass, fits that exact size. And so I went and picked up a cloth tape measure that you can use, put around your head to get the exact measurement. I've got a pretty thick skull, as anybody you ask can tell you. Then transfer that to the paper. I just held it and marked it. You can also use a string or a piece of rope and then just mark it, and that will give you your hat size, and then add a little bit so it's not tight. I also picked up some needles. These are like what you'd use for taxidermy. They're leather needles. They're actually triangular on the point, so they cut through the leather of the hide. Okay. So now I've got the top of the hat pinned to the side. It doesn't really matter with this wool fabric, but normally I would have the good side in, and this side here, where I'm gonna stitch, will be flipped around and you won't see it. So just gonna start here on the edge and sew all the way around my top of the hat to the side on the liner. When you come around to your clip, you just take that off, and sew right up to your pin. As I bump the light. Remove the pin and just keep on going. We sew all the way around until we come to our mark where we're gonna stop. I've left about 2 inches of space right there. I'll just do a back stitch. Trim this off. And now here's the liner. The wrong sides are out. We want the right sides out. So through this gap right here, we're just gonna take and turn the hat inside out. Just tuck it all through that little gap. And when it pops through, you've got a nice looking liner. See that? The seams are all hidden, the stitches. Now we just go and we find that spot where we pulled all the fabric through. We're gonna fold that, tuck that inside, and we'll run a stitch across there. Then we can go up and we can stitch around the hat so the liner and the wool are connected together. They're not loose and floppy. And that's gonna be the inside of our coyote fur hat. I'm gonna take the top of the hat out of the shoulders right here, which is a beautiful part of the pelt. And then the side of the hat will be one continuous piece along the length of the hide. I think that'll give it a lot of strength. It'll still pick up those beautiful guard hairs on the side of the hat. And I think in the end, it'll look really nice. Okay, I wanted to show you something. When I cut off the forelegs here, you can see the holes. I cut the fur a little bit. See that? That's what it would look like if you cut this with scissors. All the edges would be cut off like that, and I don't want that. So we're gonna hold the hide up, and with my scalpel, razor knife, this is a Havalon, I'm just gonna cut along my lines from the hide side. I'm not gonna go down into the fur. I'm not gonna push it down and cut it like I would maybe a piece of mat board for an art project. We're just gonna take the edge of the point of the knife and just cut right along that line until it just goes through, and not try to cut the hair on the back side. Just nice and easy does it. I've cut out the top of the hat. Man, I think that looks really nice. Then this is the side. It's all in one piece. We'll flip that over. Take a look at it. Man, I think that's looking great. So when I do taxidermy, I often use a curved needle like this one. But this particular needle does not have a chisel end. It's just a regular point. So you're pushing it through the hide. It's handy that it's curved, and it works great when you're doing taxidermy mounts. But for this hat, this coyote hide's a little thicker than a pheasant or a grouse or a duck, something like that. And I'm gonna use a polyester thread. When I do taxidermy, I use fishing line, but since this is gonna be against my head, I'm gonna use a comfortable polyester thread. And I'll just pull this back to the other end so it's double threaded, tie a knot, and we're ready to go. Here's that triangular point you can see. It's got 1, 2, 3 flat sides. So it's kind of a cutting punch as it comes through the leather. The rest of the needle follows very easily. I punched a hole in the corner of the hide on this side and over here on this side. I've got a knot at the end of these double threads right here. So when I go ahead and start this needle through, I'm going to come around, bring the needle back through my double loop. Now we're going to go right between these two threads up against the knot. I'm just going to hold the thread right here by the knot Tighten this all the way down, making sure to not catch a big clump of fur in the knot. And this will come down and tighten right there like that against the hide. It's not going anywhere. We've got a good strong double thread. Run my needle through the corner of the opposite side. I'm going to pull this down nice and tight. These two ends are going to butt up against each other. We'll keep our thread hidden underneath. We won't catch any of the fur as we go. I think I'll do a double stitch as we go, make it very strong, and we're going to just keep chipping away. Okay, so here it is the next day. I did finish sewing up the hat, at least the sides. You can see the seam along there. And I made it a little big on purpose with the hopes of being able to trim it down if need be. So then that would make this the front. If I left it exactly the way it was, without anything folded up inside, this is how it fits on my head. It's really big. And this kind of hangs down in my eyes. So if I fold this part in the front up and in, still a really big hat, comes down over my ears, but man, it's very warm even without the top on. Now, I've cut this circle for the top, and it's 7-inch circle, but the top is actually 7 inches long, but 6 inches wide. So I may end up trimming this a little on each side so that the hat doesn't have a round top, but more a little bit of an oval. But I'm thinking if I needed to or wanted to, I could also fold the sides in all the way around so it's not quite so tall on top of my head. It would look more something like this. You know, just a fur hat on top rather than coming down over my ears. But honestly, I kind of like it like this with the front folded in. It's nice and warm on my forehead. I will eventually put my liner inside the hat once the top is sewn on. This will give me a little extra insulation and probably make it a little more comfortable as well. But it's coming along. I flipped the hat inside out. You can see the seam here where I sewed the side one piece all around together, and my circle was 7 inches, and I don't want a perfect circle since the hat is kind of more of an oval, so I've trimmed it down to 6 inches, tapering it towards the front and the rear. Now I'm going to tuck the hat inside out, top piece down inside, and I'll sew all the way around, lining up the back of the hat with my seam on the back of the hat. That way the fur, the direction of the hair is going towards the rear. When I flip it right side out, that's how it'll look. Now I don't even know if I need it. It's actually quite warm as is, but here's my liner, and I'll put the back side of the liner to the back side of the hat. I'll have to figure out a way to either sew it in, or a friend suggested Velcroing it in. That's a good idea. I could use an adhesive, but I don't want to glue it in. But anyways, there's my silk and wool liner inside of my hat. And here, I'll try it on. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so I stepped outside to try it on in the wind and see how it feels in the outdoors. That thing comes down over my ears. It's super warm. Here it is from the top. I like how it blends together. I had no idea how it would look, and I'm actually really pleased with how it turned out. All right, I've got the coyote's face nailed out here to a board to just kind of keep it flattened, and I've covered it with borax to draw out some of the moisture from the edges of the face here, where there's a little more meat's a little thicker and up in the nose, so it won't rot and stink. Anyways, I don't think I'm gonna put that on top of the hat. I don't have the liner in it at this time, That'll be something down the road. I'll have to figure a way to put that in, or maybe I won't. The way it is actually is quite nice. The fur itself makes contact with the sides of my head. I can flip this inside down if I want it to cover my ears more. But I'm very pleased with how that turned out. So I went and bought this mink oil from the local hardware store. I'll open it up here. You'll see that it's not an oil like neat's foot oil or boot oil. It's more of a salve. This stuff here you can take, you can see I've dipped a little out with my finger. You can use a rag or your finger and take that and rub it right into the hide. Just kind of replenishes some of the moisture into the hide itself if it gets dry. It's natural and it doesn't have any kind of a bad smell at all. I'm a little hesitant to get too crazy with it yet. I don't want the inside of the hat to be all oiled up against my head, but I think I will over time apply a little bit and just kind of work it in to hopefully soften that leather and just give it a little bit of a preservation, protection on there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this episode. First time I've ever tried making anything out of fur. I thought about maybe a possibles bag, which is something a mountain man would have or he'd use for muzzleloader hunting. That'd be kind of fun. But as far as making a garment that you can wear, here's a nice hat. I think it turned out well and hope you enjoyed. Hey, have a great day, you guys. Thanks for watching. See you, bye.